Welcome back. Now, economist Dawie Roodt from the Efficient Group sparked debate by suggesting that some state universities in South Africa should be shut down and converted into colleges. He argues that these institutions are failing to produce the right skills compared to their private counterparts, a concern rooted in the ongoing skills mismatch in the South African jobs market. But critics warn that such a move reflects a fundamental misunderstanding of the diverse roles played by post-secondary institutions. They argue that closing public universities could undermine the long-term developmental and democratic and intellectual goals of higher education in the country. Joining us now to unpack this issue is Moshoadiba, a lecturer in the College of Human Sciences at Unisa. Monethi, thank you so much for your time this evening. Your thoughts when it comes to what economist Dawie Roodt has to say about the closing or converting of some state higher learning institutions?
Thank you very much, Masa, for this opportunity, and good evening to you and good evening to Newzroom Afrika viewers. Well, you see, the concern above all is that we don't have a problem with what the economist is talking about in terms of skill development and all of that. But we cannot shrink the universities looking at the issue that the values that it's producing, because university, it creates various kinds of value in terms of economic research and innovation and skill graduate. And then when he argued to say some of the institutions need to be shrink and be closed, we need to consider the fact of that universities provide a critical thinking to the students, in as much as the theory is being provided there. We do not only need skills to the student, but also critical thinking to the student that they are able to utilize, provided with those critical to those skills that they are having, because you cannot only be vouching to always be having skills and everything, but you also need to have a critical thinking and also a theory based on the skills that you need to produce. Thank you.
When it comes to what he talks about in terms of the right skills, and when we think about also the number of unemployed graduates who are sitting at home as well, does he have some point there?
Oh, well, he definitely does have some point looking at the economic growth in terms of how many graduates that we're having with regards to the production that we give to the students. He's quietly right, but you cannot solve a problem with another problem, but you rather bring something that is going to sustain or augment what you are trying to shrink in that regard. He is definitely right to that. But does he bring a solution to the table? Shrinking the universities is not a necessary, that kind of a solution that is bringing to the table, but it's creating more problems with regards to that, because the question that one would have is that, yes, of course, then we would have skills and everything for those students who cannot go to universities. But then what would then happen if then the unemployment rate goes up and all of that? So we need to do a para-empirical research regarding the kind of skills that we need to have in the institutions as such.
And what do you make of this idea that private institutions are more effective than some higher learning institutions that are state-owned?
Well, you see, Masa, I wouldn't say they are well high off, because of, if you take in terms of the argument that he's portraying, he's in a way portraying that this private institution will provide skills towards the economy in all of that, and in arguing to say the public institutions do not give the correct skills for the economy as such. But then coming to think of that, when you then privatize this institution, then we're going to have another problem with regards to the student who cannot be able to go to such private institution, who won't be able to afford to go to those private. We need to look into that. And it's so interesting that I don't want to sound bad and bad mouth, but he is an economist. He should know better, because of, if you then try to close this particular one in terms of you want to create an economic development, but you rather also suppress the other one, which gives 80% of students that in these public institutions.
And also, Monethi, when one looks at the applications at these higher learning institutions, public higher learning institutions annually, those applications always outweigh the space that they have available. So there clearly is a thirst and a hunger from South African, whether youth or older people as well, for higher learning education. Should we then take this kind of suggestion to heart and have some of them closed down or even converted? What does that do for those applicants that we see time and time again throughout the years not getting space because there simply just isn't enough space?
Yeah, well, you see, to the issue of space, Masa, it's a crucial and it's very imperative that we need to look into that. And more especially with regards to the recent statistics that has been revealed in the early years of this year, that there were some students who were not able to get into this your well-known traditional university. But coming to think of the institution that I am working at, that I am teaching at, it's an institution that is very big at such certain stage that that this is where now we take such kind of your normal traditional students who cannot be able to be taken to this traditional institution. Well, it is a good idea that we can vouch to do that, but we must do a thorough research and empirical research in terms of, will it benefit, and will it benefit those peasant students that in the rural areas that won't be able to be given that latitude to extend their qualification? So there are, it's more like this proverb of Setswana that says, but we need to look into that in terms of how do we then implement such kind of decision towards those students who cannot qualify. It's not a matter of, remember also, a privatization deals with a profit. It's a going on profit. But in the public institution, it's where now we then be able to give this kind of students who are unable to get to your well-known traditional institution. That's where I can put it in that way, Masa.
Yeah. And also, you know, you made mention of the institution that you lecture at as well, the University of South Africa, Unisa. His claim was that Unisa in particular is underperforming. Your reaction to that?
Oh, well, his claim to say Unisa is underperforming, it's based on, as he said it, it's based on historicity. But if you take recently, the institution itself, it has, in its 151 years of existence, it has emerged as one of the most South African continent famous scientific research and innovation institute, in such a way that the Unisa had identified 10 Catholic niche area to curb these automative styles of teaching and everything, to even have the likes of space studies and the square kilometer array. So fourth industrial revolution. So I wouldn't say he is right to say the University of South Africa, universities of the land, is underperforming. He should get his facts to the par, because of we are producing and we are rated high in terms of research with regards to that. So Unisa is not underperforming. It's performing quietly very well.
Monethi, thank you so much for that clarity and for your insights during this interview as well. Really appreciate your time. That, of course, was Monethi Moshoadiba, who is a lecturer in the College of Human Sciences at Unisa.